All right. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow decoders around the world, it's nice to be back here for another episode of Let's Talk About. Kind of detouring away from the what's your question. We're going to get to some questions, but let's talk about everything happens for a reason. Have you ever said this before? Yeah, everything happens for a reason. Why do you say that? Out of habit? Because you heard somebody else say that? Everything happens for a reason. Have you adopted that as your truth? Well, tonight I'm going to show you through the code of why everything happens for a reason. I'm going to show you that. So I'm really looking forward to this this tour here of the code. I'm wearing the sunglasses. So you may be new here. Like, I'm not going to wear these throughout the entire thing. It's a prop, right? The reason why I wear the sunglasses is to remind you, to let you know that you're inside of a movie. You're living in a scripted, predestined reality. That's kind of the big giveaway of why everything happens for a reason. Because you're in a show, man. Where humankind is entertainment. Man and woman, we are entertainment. And every story, every culture, every text, everything happens for a reason because it's part of the everything. So no matter which path you follow, no matter which door you open, it's all part of the script. And that's the beautification of this reality, because once you can at least consider this notion and maybe move into it, life becomes so much easier. At least it has for me and so many other people that have now adopted this, to surrender to this. And then the fun part is discovering who you are and why you're here. And you can do that through a million different ways. Hopefully by now, if you're here and you've been following this research, you have looked at your astrological chart, you've looked at your numerology, you've looked at your Enneagram, your human design, you've looked at your cards, you've looked at your personality type. I mean, as many different layers of the code that you can get your hands on, hopefully you've done that. Because you will become culturally rich when you do that. And it's endless. It's endless, okay? All right, so let me just pop out the chat here and get your comments here front and center. Thank you, Pamela, for being here. We have the great moderator, Pamela. I don't know what version we get. There's 5 different Pamela. That's the joke I have. There's 5 different versions of Pamela running around. If you notice on the wall on the right and left-hand side of me, this was the room that was chosen for tonight's presentation. And rather than me choosing the cards, I grabbed a deck of tarot cards. I'm using the Radiant pocket-sized from the Rider-Waite deck, and I randomly pulled 4 cards, and it was so profound when I did that, because if you look on the left side of me, the first card I pulled was the Tower card. It kind of tells the story, right? The Tower card. This is the Big Bang. Now, I'm not here to tell you that we're living in the Big Bang, like the Big Bang's a real thing. No, but it's in the story. The Tower card is the Big Bang. And then the next card was the 8 of Wands, which is lightning or fast movement. So boom, and then the movement of that. And then we got the Rider, the Page of Swords. This is the card of Prometheus, the Rider. And then the final stage was the 10 of Cups. So it blew me away, man, when I pulled the cards. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah, because we're living in this is like when you're a dude and you bust one, and you're inside of somebody. I'm just being real, man. You have the ability to get them pregnant. What do you think that is right there? That's the phallus, man. This is how it happens. And then when When it goes into the woman, it starts to weave its way and look for the egg. And if it breeds with the egg, if it fertilizes the egg, now it becomes the writer. And then the writer out pops what? What's written? A little baby. Yeah, man, that's how easy this is to discover and identify with. That's why sex is so glorified in this reality, and why sex is the determining factor on what keeps this game moving. All right. So, without further ado, let me get my cursor out here. And actually, let me just delete this. Hold on, let me just do something here. Okay. And I also want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I want to thank you for each and every one of you for being here. You could have been anywhere tonight. I appreciate that. If you're watching this recorded, awesome. Big shout out to the Patreon members. Big thank you to everybody who's a donating member over there. I appreciate who's a member over there. I appreciate your support. I really am. All right. So we'll be taking some questions in a little bit, not right now, but let's jump into this presentation here. Everything happens for a reason. Are you ready? Are you ready to get jiggy with it? Because we're going to get jiggy with it. So let's begin. Let's talk about everything happens for a reason. And I want to start here. I do want to give my gratitude and thanks to a few people. And why I'm showing this is because the presentation that I gave on stage right here, this was just last month in Acapulco, Mexico. This was me up on stage in Acapulco at Jeff Borwick's event called In Acapulco. It was the 2025 Ascendance. Next year will be, maybe I'll get invited to go. That one will be in Puerto Vallarta. But this presentation that I did here, I'm going to be doing it right now for you. This is the one I did on stage. So if you weren't here live, if you didn't catch this on the video feed, I'm going to be showing it to you now. Okay. So wanted to give a big shout out to Miranda and Roel and everybody that supported me, and all the great people, Bumps, and all the great people that I met there. It was such a great event, right? So I got my 1 hour of stage time here, and this is what I talked about. And this is going to move right into let's talk about everything happens for a reason. I want to start here. This is where I started. That we live in a scripted reality, and the scripted reality means that the free will is an illusion. I'm going to support that. So maybe you want to just consider. I'm not saying to adopt this as your truth, but maybe you want to consider what I'm about to show you. So my official title, besides doing astrology and numerology and doing readings for people, is I'm a code breaker, but I'm a metaphysician. I deal in the metaphysical world where I'm looking to transform, right? I transform people. I uplift people. That's what one of my jobs is to go into the code and then identify it, realize everything happens for a reason because we're living in a scripted reality. And then we go ahead and we get to transform, all because you were supposed to. Okay? So we're going to be doing some of this code breaking. This is what I am. Besides the metaphysician, I'm a code breaker, a decoder. I like using the word code breaker. So this is what we're going to be doing. And the question I want to postulate to all of you here, is it possible that we just live inside of a computer? Is Earth a computer? The Matrix, is it a computer? I think so. How it works and operates beyond that, well, it's going to come down to opinions. But you see, why I postulate this and why everything happens for a reason is because of this. This right here is just simple HTML code. This is how websites get written. Right now, as you're watching this presentation, there's code that writes this that you're not looking at. And it kind of looks like this right here. where there's letters, numbers, and symbols. And if any of this is not right, if any of this is off, you wouldn't be listening to my voice. You wouldn't be watching this presentation. So we create the computers. We start creating websites, which are homes. We have servers, which host websites. Well, is not Earth a hoster? The mother? And everything in our reality, it's written in code just like we code the computer. This is our so below. And we become the as above, sitting in front of the computer. So is it too hard to fathom that perhaps our reality was coded by whatever, the supernatural, the God, whatever you want to call it, was coded and it has letters, numbers, and symbols attached to it behind the scenes? Well, that's my final answer at this point. It's exactly what I feel and how this reality operates. So let me get into some of the tools that I use for my code breaking efforts. So those of you that are new, you have the ability to follow along. This was very challenging to a crowd that some people have never seen me before. So I had to introduce this. And let me start here, okay? We're going to start with, if you look to the left of your screen, we're going to just start with the oldest numerology cipher that I know of called Chaldean numerology. Supposedly, it goes all the way back to ancient Babylon. And I'm starting with the 8 known blood types in our reality, and you're going to be one of these. There are 4 blood types, O, A, B, and AB, but when you add on the RH factors, you're either going to be positive, you're simply going to be A negative, RH negative, or B positive, RH positive. You're either going to have the RH factor or you're not. That makes you a negative or positive. It's just that simple. What blood type are you? You should know what your blood type is. But anyway, the first tool that I'm going to use is numerology, and you can see the total is 286. The next tool to attach to this is chemistry. The periodic table, we're made up of a lot of these elements. These elements, some of them are essential for our livelihood, for our well-being, for our bodies to function. And then the ones like this one that are synthetic, they offer clues and bridges at how this reality operates. So we can see that nihonium, which has an average isotope of 286, matches the 8 known blood types. And what's so mind-blowing here is that the icon chosen for this element is the flag of Japan. That's why there's the Japanese writing here. And this red dot right here is the sun. That's the flag of Japan. They'll tell you it's the sun, but does it not look like a red blood cell? Of course it does. And that's exactly what it is. Because we are the sun becoming. We are light slowed down into physical matter, and that is one of the reasons why everything happens for a reason. Because we are not in control. You see. So we can attach the third layer of the tools used, and now we get into mathematics. More letters, numbers, and symbols, right? Of the code that writes this reality. So the 113, which is a match to the total protons, is the 30th prime number. 113 is the 30th prime. So again, we're just connecting. That's all we're doing as breaking the code down. And then we attach and go back to numerology, and we can see that the words role play give us a value of 30, you see. So when you attach the role play to the 113, and the 113 attaches to the 286, which has a big fat red blood cell on it, which is the sun, we now have the 8 known blood types. And 8, if you remember, if you've been paying attention, the 8 is the infinity symbol, which is our DNA. Our DNA, the deoxyribonucleic acid inside your DNA, it's a number 8, which is why there's 8 known blood types. Okay, so these are some of the tools that we use. Let's reverse engineer it now. Let's start with chemistry. Over there at the top left, we're going to start with nihonium. Nihonium is the word for Japan. Nihon is the word for Japan, by the way. If any of you out there live in New Hampshire, like my friend Bumps, NH in the house, the New Hampshire. But the nihonium we're going to start with, and then we're going to go to numerology to support and get to this. Everything happens for a reason. Nihon, again, is the word for Japan, which is what this element was named after and where this element was synthesized, which matches to the word blood. Again, this is a red blood cell. Besides it being the land of the rising sun, it is blood. Okay? That's exactly what it is. And then we can also introduce another tool to use, and that is the playing cards. 52 cards in a deck, 52 weeks out of the year, 4 suits, 4 seasons. And then we can tie that right to the Gregorian calendar, the 23rd day of the year, January 23rd on the Gregorian calendar. The card that is associated with that day is the 4 of diamonds. I'm just going to break and show you that here is the boilerplate chart for the cards. And your birthday is going to be in here. And here's January. And we come down to the 23rd, and there it is, the 4 of diamonds. Just so you can be aware, just so you know I'm not trying to get one past you. This 4 of diamonds is the 30th card in the deck. And we just go right back to the numerology of role play, you see. And this is why 23 is such a big number in our reality. See, everything happens for a reason because we're being role played. We're being used as instruments, as actors or actresses on the world stage. That's why all of this stuff works. So everything happens for a reason because of the fact that it's tied to role play. Here you go, folks. The title of this presentation. Let's talk about everything happens for a reason. Yeah, that's because we are being role played. And this is the deciding factor here with the red blood cell right on it. 113, 113, 30, 30, 113. 286 is our 8 known blood types. So moving forward, to give more support of this, you know this company, right? Maybe you did the genetic stuff, the 23andMe. Yeah, because you're in a movie, that's why. We're inside of a movie, and your blood, that's why it's so sacred. That's why it's your oil. You can't live without it. If this gets taken from you, you're dead. It's like the oil in a car, that's our blood, the oil in the body. And this is why that's so significant. If you've ever looked at how big is why did Michael Jordan wear the number 23? And it was red too, because he was on the Bulls. Yeah, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, why do you think they wore the number 23? Well, we're in a movie, that's why. We're little actors and actresses on the world stage. How about this movie right here? Free Guy. You ever seen this show or this movie? Ryan Reynolds, born on October 12th. Yeah, not so free. Being role played. That's exactly what this movie was all about. Oh my God, I'm in a movie. And then the movie gets disrupted. Free Guy, man. And there's a lot of clues with this movie alone. But what's so big about the 30 is that I can tie it right into theology. Now, you know, I don't even follow religion, but I study it like crazy because a lot of people do. So this is tied into the code, yes. It is. And you can see this is from Exodus 3 verses 14. This is when Moses goes to the Mount Sinai and gets the 10 commandments and asks the Yod, hey, what should I tell? Who should I tell the people you are? I am who I am, right there, right from the original Hebrew now. 30 from the reduced aspect of this. It's going to be the number 84. Already covered that. And it says, I will be what I will be. Yeah, it will be you. It's going to be you and me. That's what this is saying. Now, is this the final answer? Not necessarily. But we have a good connecting point here. This is the God, man. I will be whoever the hell I want to be. And that's everybody. I am who I am. That's why you say a lot of I am. I'm going to go do this. It ain't you doing it, folks. You act out on the actions, but the ideas and the screenplay that you got, no, you just were assigned that. So here's the scripture. Exodus 3 verses 14. Notice the pi 3.14. And this is now, which I've already covered in the Tower of Ra and the Watchtower and the JW organization, 5 different Bibles from the Quran all the way to the King James. All of them say that the God of the Bible is Ra. The Yod, this is Ra, man. And Ra is tied to the sun, which is tied to the blood types. Remember the flag of Japan, the land of the rising sun. When you add up the neutrons, protons, and electrons, you get 314. And that matches the chapter and verse of when Ra says, I am who I am, you see. If you're a fan of Bashir's and his work, there's the 130. If you want to know what the Phoenix is tied to, it's tied to Ra. Right there. 138 neutrons. It's tied to Earth. The neutrons, the motherboard. Yep. That's what it's tied to. So now you know, without question, even the scripture through Hebrew numerology is a 79, which is gold. And what is gold? The sun. That's why Moses went up and the bush was on fire, because the fire represents the sun. Gold. There's the outcome. Okay? It's very, very easy to see, and this is why everything happens for a reason. Because of these things. We're dealing with the sun and the moon and the celestials. All of them have a hand in everything. But the sun is the main component because it provides light and photosynthesis and all that kind of stuff. So the next question is, what is everything? Yeah, if everything happens for a reason, what is everything? Well, go to numerology. Everything is the eye in the sky, of course. And it's not just the sun, it's the moon as well. But that's what everything is. I am that I am. That's why when it says there's no darkness in God, yeah, well, there's no darkness in the sun. It's pure light. Psalms 84 verses 11. I am a sun and shield. Nothing new under the sun, right? But then we can take this 37, we can go to chemistry again, get the clue. 37 is rubidium. This is the average isotope, 85.468. And 37, tied to rubidium, right here, you can see the icon chosen for it. Now, you mean to tell me that the Royal Society of Chemistry places a freaking eyeball for the icon to represent rubidium, and an eye in the sky is everything, and that's how many protons we have here? Come on, man. This is, if you go read about this, they'll tell you why that is. I already know why. But let's keep going. How about this album? You know this song, I've decoded it. Eye in the Sky. Alan Parsons and Mr. Wolf here, who was the singer, both being used to do it. Well, one of the layers of the song is, I can read your mind. Who can read your mind? See, this album starts off with the song Sirius. And it segues into Eye in the Sky. So you have Sirius in the beginning, the brightest star in the night sky, and then the brightest star during the daytime, the sun, Sol, Helios. And this is your brain. If you cut your brain, that's why I can read your mind. The all-seeing eye of Horus. Horus is the rising of the sun. That's what this is. The all-seeing eye of Horus. Horus is the rising of the sun. And the opposite of Set. Horus and Set. Why it can read your mind, and what happens when it reads your mind, is you become involved in what's called the prison planet. So now you get into the soul trap theory. I have a whole series. I have 5 of these videos. Over 6 hours of information on prison planet, something like that. So when it reads your mind, you become involved in this prison planet. And this 52 shows the prison planet right for its icon. 52, I can read your mind, is tied to Tellus, which is the Latinized word for earth. Tellurium. Prison planet. See how obvious it gets. Why everything happens for a reason. Because we live in a scripted reality. So let's go back to the Gregorian calendar and connect again. We'll start with prison planet. 52. The 52nd day of the year, February 21st. What's the card that's associated with February 21st? The 4 of diamonds. It's got a big fat 4 on it. It's red. Blood is red. And there are 4 blood types with the A, the B, the O, and the AB. Coincidence? This is the 30th card in the deck, and we have roleplay. You see, that's why we're in this. Because you're being role-played. And that is why everything happens for a reason. This is why. This is what the code says. Now, I'm not here to force this on you. It's going to be completely up to you on whether or not you want to adopt this. I don't care. I honestly don't care. I stopped, but I already know. I don't believe anymore. I know. And I know that some of you that may rub you the wrong way, and I'm not here to be egoic macho man. I just know. I don't believe anymore. I stopped doing that a while ago. And I know why this works. I know why this happens. Because it's everything. It's the eye in the sky. Happens for a reason. That's why. The reason is you, the blood, the movie. So, let's talk about this scripted reality now. Move into this. And as I had said earlier, humankind is being used by the divine. Spirit into matter. We are pneuma, as Tool sang. We are being used, and free will is an illusion. The only free will I think we have is our emotions. That's it. The emotional reactions that you give off by the experiences you have, that just might be the only free will we have. So when you get good at this reality and you live a life of neutrality, meaning you're lukewarm, where you're not going to be polarized because you see that it's 2 sides of the same coin, the good and the bad, the peace and calamity. Even the Christ said in Revelation, hey, church, you're either with me or you're against me. That's polarization. Yeah. You're either going to be with me or against me. You want to get polarized to stay in this game? If you're not, I'm going to kick you out. So let me give you some real life examples. If you weren't convinced then, I got a lot more material to go. Let me give you some real life examples. I did a decode on this. I'm redoing it again. It will be released soon enough on 666, the number of the beast. 666 is the magic square of the sun. 666 is a big time number. We know it equals the number 18, which is tied to carbon, and that's why it's the number of a man and all that stuff. A million different ways to look at it. But how about this? If you don't think everything happens for a reason, please explain this to me. Stephen Harris, one of the founding members of Iron Maiden, the band, who still play today, have a song called The Number of the Beast. And his name is exactly the match of that. 68. Coincidence? Do you think that he was sitting down with Chaldean numerology when he wrote this song and just had to get it this way because he knew his name was 68? Or do you think maybe he's just a musician trying to make music to make money so he can etch his way through life? Well, let's continue on. Here's some more real life examples. Here's the band Slipknot. This is off of my Gematria Decoded. 2008, their album All Hope Is Gone. Their second song off that album is right there. Gematria, the killing name. 68. Number of the beast. 68. So it's all about killing in this reality because we live in a scripted reality. As you can see on the left and right hand sides of your screen, both world wars just so happen, just merely coincidental, they end up becoming the number 68. July 28th, 1914, World War I. September 1st, 1939, World War II. 68. Even the invasion of Ukraine has a numerology of 68. If that is the actual starting point of World War III, if that's what we're moving into, it already has the 68 attached to it. So that's your number of the beast, folks, tied to this. Because everything happens for a reason. This man right here didn't have a choice. I've covered countless band members now. From Pink Floyd, Michael Jackson, the countless, Twisted Sister, so many. Slipknot. Everything happens for a reason because you're living in the beast, man. You're living in the beast system, right? We did a presentation on the zodiac, the original word in Hebrew from the book of Job, where it says that this is what runs our reality. The Mazzaroth, the stars, the constellations, the Mazzaroth, man, the zodiac. Everything happens for a reason because this is the as above running the so below. Okay? So we go to this number of the beast. It's the number of a man. The number of a man. 68 reduces down to the number 5. You have 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses, a million different ways you can look at that. But let's connect it to the tarot. I'm going to go right to the tarot. Is there a 68th card in the tarot? Yep. It's the 4 of Pentacles, the 4 of discs. And this, matching the number of the beast, comes from the 4 of Diamonds. 4 of Diamonds, 4 of Pentacles. These came first. And that's the 30th card in the deck. And the 30 is role play. So who is the number of the beast? All of us. We're the beast because you're being role played. Some for the good team, some for the bad team. Some for the good team, some for the bad team. We're being role played. How about this organization, this restaurant? You know this one, right? McDonald's. Well, what is this right here? This big yellow thing? It's the sun. Of course, that's what it means. The M, 13th letter, there are 13 patterns of the sun. This, despite what anybody will tell you, this is the sun. The M. This is the letter Mem in Hebrew. It's the 84th letter in the Torah, which is the I am that I am. Well, how about these two dudes? Maurice and Richard, the founding members of McDonald's. Look at their birth cards. Maurice, November 26th, 7 of hearts. Richard, February 16th, 9 of diamonds. What happens when you take 7 and 9 and bring it together? You get gold, you see. And that's kind of interesting since their logo is freaking gold/yellow. So the question you got to ask yourself, did these guys know this? They didn't pick their birthdays. They're brothers, by the way. So if you think they orchestrated this, on purpose, well, then their parents would have had to orchestrate their birth on purpose. And I personally think that is the craziest story you could ever conjure up. No, these men were being used. How about this man? This amazing man, this genius. Love this guy. When I did the decode on him, I shared it, he commented. Robert Edward Grant. Is he in control of his life? Of course he's not. Here's his birthday, May 16th, 1969. The 3 of diamonds is his card. Card number 29. He's all about the pyramids. They just had an expedition. When I was in Acapulco, he was on that expedition. Well, look at the latitude of Giza, where he's a huge fanatic about. 29 degrees north. Well, just so happens that his birth card is the 29th card in the deck. You think this man has control? No. Not even close. 29. That's what the guy's all about. The freaking Giza stuff, man. The pyramids. Yeah. But it goes further. Here's his birth city. He was born in Wichita Falls, Texas. So I typed in Giza. There it was. Go right to the periodic table. I mean, look at the freaking icon. It's an Egyptian hieroglyph, the all-seeing eye of Horus. Let's keep going. And then this crazy. So if you can think of, if you can consider that we live in computer code. If you can consider that we're living inside of a computer, this summarizes it perfectly. So I plugged in the distance between on this website. Wichita Falls, Texas, and Giza, Egypt, which he's a fanatic about. And this is what it gave me right here in miles. 6,935.15 miles, and then I just reduced it down, and there it was, man. It's his damn birth card. And it's the latitude north of Giza. Folks, what are you going to do with this, man? Are you just going to refute this stuff? I'm in control of my life. This man's not. Here's his life path. May 16th, 1969. It's a total value of 109. That's the 29th prime number. 29 is the latitude of Giza. 29 is his birth card. Are these all just coincidences? Like, how does this stuff come out like this? Especially the fact that this computer right here spit this out. I didn't fudge this. You go ahead and do this. It's called distancefromanto.net. Go ahead and fact check it yourself. This is what I got. I'm not trying to pull the woolly over your eyes, folks. I'm not trying to bedazzle you here. I'm simply showing you the breaking of the code. Okay? I did a decode on this, the Grand Illusion. Right on Patreon. You go watch the full presentation. If you want to support this research, I got over almost 100 videos now that you won't find on YouTube. Well, here are the 5 band members from the 1970s. This was their album, their 7th album. I think it was 1977. It was called The Grand Illusion. Styx. John, Tommy, Dennis, James, and Chuck. The 5 band members that came out with this album called The Grand Illusion. Yeah, so all I did was I just added up their birthdays. This was an easy one. 20 plus 11 plus 18 plus 14 plus 20, 83. And this was right around the time when I just released the Samsara. I was decoding Sanskrit. Right around the time, of course, because everything happens for a reason. And yeah, exactly. You see, when you type in the word Maya into the Sanskrit numerology cipher, there it is. So the question is, did these guys have the freaking Sanskrit numerology cipher before they created this album? And then their parents would have to be in on this because they would have to give birth to these people exactly at the right time, so these numbers would come out this way. Now, folks, that's crazy thinking. Everything happens for a reason because we're living in Maya, man. It's the grand illusion. You're in the matrix. You're in the illusion, man. You're in this. These guys right here did not have a choice. Why do you think you do? You can't miss it. You can't miss it. I did a decode on this. God is time. A format of God. God is time. Well, the word time and God both equal 14. So I was like, all right, what's the 14th book in the Bible? 2nd Chronicles. And what is Chronicles? Chronos. Chronos is the God of time. That's where you get Chronicles from. That's where you get chronographic watches from. And then Chronicles is a 37. You know, everything happens for a reason. Everything is 37 because we live in the construct of time. But 37 is the 12th prime number. And how many hours are on that face of that clock? How many of these are here? 12, 1, 2, 3, how many? 12. Time. Because a construct of the God is time, and you only get so much time. And the devil is time. That's what makes you sin and decay. Time does. The word Satan equals 14. Right here. If I go type it in, Satan. It's time, man. That's what the devil is. Time. That's it. It's as simple as that. And that's why it's everything happens for a reason. Because we're being used as puppets. And I mean that with a lot of fun and a light heart. I don't mean that in a negative, disheartening way, despite what it may sound. This to me liberates you. It doesn't debilitate you, it liberates you. I did a decode on Scripted Reality 23. This was the funny one. It was on blood. Well, you know, 23andMe. But this is how God is a comedian. You ever use this as a dude? Some of you dudes have. Some of you dudes use it. Viagra. It was first released on March 27th, 1998. What is the card? The 9 of clubs. I just want to be transparent. March 27th. Here's March. Come down to 27. There it is, the 9 of clubs. Just so you know, I'm not trying to get one past you. What is the tarot card to get the picture? The 9 of wands. And if you know what this means, it's the wounded warrior. Who would be the wounded warrior in this case? Well, Mr. Winky would, of course. This is the card of ayahuasca. This is the card of the Titans. The Titans need participation. So what did this do? What did this drug do? It allowed people to have sex, which gave more opportunities for the divine, for spirit to enter into this reality, because a lot of women got pregnant because of Viagra. Abso-freaking-lutely they did. The word Viagra, the name chosen, is a 14. And the 14th card is the Ace of Clubs. And what's the counterpart in the tarot? The Ace of Wands. What is that hand holding right there, folks? What do you think that hand is holding right there? What would it be attributed to when it comes to the male genitalia? And what happens when you take Viagra? Blood flow increases. So this is why God is a stand-up comedian. Because of this, man. Mankind's not doing this. We can definitely become aware of it, and we can do things on purpose, but it ain't our minds doing it. This ain't me doing this presentation. I don't take any credit for this. This is this is the divine using me. Let's get into some serious stuff. September 11th, I covered this. I know a lot of people, it was this, it was that. No, it was orchestrated by the as above. The soul below carried it out. So I covered the obvious, right? They pinned it on this guy. Osama. His name is 16, and the tower card is the 16th card. Boy, say it isn't so. Boy, what a humdinger is that? Coincidence? Nah. How about this ridiculousness? Flight number 11 and 175, the two airlines that flew into the towers. They give you a total of 186. So 11 plus 175 is 186. Go right into mathematics. And it just, coincidentally, of course, the 1109, which is the 911, is the 186 prime number. Yeah. Another just mere laughable coincidence. Now, letters, numbers, and symbols rule our reality. The word Babel in Genesis 11 verses 9. Genesis 11 verses 9, 9/11. The word Babel is 16. Just like the tower card. The Tower of Babel. What do you think this whole event was wrapped around? Genesis 11 verses 9, of course. Without question it was. And it says that the Tower of Babel was because Yahweh confounded the language of all the earth, and it just so happens that Yahweh's 26, which is exactly the 9/11 card, the King of Clubs, card number 26. This is the element iron. In Israel, they have the Iron Dome. This is the king of air. The plains, air. You see? This is biblical stuff now, if you want to get into that stuff. This is all scripted reality here. Everything happens for a reason. September 11th was a Tuesday. I think today's today. Oh, today's Wednesday. Tuesday, which was a Mars day. Yeah, there you go. Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh 26 protons, iron, man. Iron is tied to Mars alchemically. This is lights, camera, action, which is exactly what happened on this, a big mover and shaker energy here. Scripted reality, ladies and gentlemen. Scripted reality. And then just kind of the no-brainers. There were 19 of these people. And there was 19. Why was the 19 attached to this? Yeah, well, because you see the 19th card in the tarot is the sun. That's why. That's why it was called Corona. The Corona. Okay? This is why it's all scripted, folks. The whole thing is scripted. So, everything happens for a reason. Now we're getting somewhere. What is scripting our reality? Well, God, of course. We say this word like it's vanilla, man. God does everything. God is this and God. Yeah, of course. What created you? God did. Well, the acronym for the GOD is generate, operate. At least this is what I have adopted as true. Generate, operate, destroy. It fits it perfectly. Generate and destroy is going to give you 56, which is lights, camera, action. Operate is 32. This is tied to hydrogen, and hydrogen's tied to the sun. But it gives you a value of the 88, and we go right back to, we go back to Ra again. Remember, this is 314. I am that I am. Okay? I decoded the Central Intelligence Agency. Are they in control of anything? Of course they're not. They got assigned a pretty amazing role, though. I think it'd be pretty cool to have a job working at this agency. I think. But this is their unofficial motto. It's a biblical verse. How about that? They have a biblical verse right on their website, or at least on the Wikipedia. They would change it if it wasn't part of that. John 8 verses 32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Yeah, the truth is you're being controlled remotely by the as above, controlled by the puppet master, matches that biblical verse. And when you go and do a technique that I learned called theonumerology, it will give you the biggest humdinger. Theonumerology is just simply taking all of the verses and adding them up. So we have 8 chapters. 8 is tied to the sun. 19 is the 8th prime number. So we have all of these verses. We're going to add it up. And look at what number we get. The truth shall make you free. What is the truth? What is the 369? Well, you go to chemistry and there is the I am. When you add these up, 126.904, 243.061, there's the 369. I showed this years ago. I am. Yeah, the I am will make you free. It's you. You're the divine, man. You are God. It's using you. The role you got is the role you got. The role they got is the role they got. This agency is not in control. They are the I am. The I am is using them. They have a pretty high role. But we know this is tied to the keys to the universe and the supposed quote by Tesla, but there's no support for that. It's just an opinion, but it's there. So what is the I am? What is it? Well, if you don't know now, you should know now. It's you. You're the I am. But what is it? Well, let me give you some groundbreaking material, which if you watch the Tower of Ra, then you would have already seen this, but I'm going to refresh your memory because this was groundbreaking material when I released it. And all I did was I went to the Torah because I was so fascinated by this Radium 226. I'm going to show you how it's connected to the mainstream. And I'm like, where's the 88th digit and where's the 226th digit in the book of Genesis? So step number one was let's locate the 88th letter of Genesis. And there it was. You got to go into chapter 1, verses 3. And there's one of the letters of the Yod He Vah He. So the 88th letter is the He, the 5th letter. And what is the 226th letter? You guessed it. It's the Yod. So now I had enough evidence. And this was just with this book. I did it with the Quran, the King James. I did it with the Latin Vulgate. All of them lead to Ra, folks. So it's the Yod He, and then this becomes us, the Vah He. We become, this is the hook, the 6, the carbon. This is the Yod He becoming mankind through this text as an example, but it is all different through different cultures. So what is the God of the Bible? Ra. And it's pi, man. We live in the string of pi, which is the sun. 3.14 is the sine wave. It's the sun becoming. So I did it with the Greek Codex Sinaiticus, the Sinai Bible. I went to the 88th letter. It's the letter Alpha. I did the 226th. It's the letter Omega. And what is the A and the O? The Alpha and Omega. I am the Alpha and Omega. It's the God. This gives you a value of 16, which is the Tower card in the tarot. And 8 plus 8 is 16. Let's go into the Latin Vulgate. The Latin Vulgate Bible. What's the 88th letter? The letter F. This is coming from Revelation now. I switched from Genesis. Now I'm going to go into Revelation, where the introduction of the Christ. The 88th letter, 6. The 226th letter, the V. And you bring them together, and what's 6 plus 20? The Yod He Vah He. This is the book of Revelation now. We did Genesis, we did Revelation. What about the Quran? The great Allah. I didn't have to go far in this one. The 88th Arabic letter is the 16th letter, which means the I. That's what it means. Ain, the 16th letter, which is the Tower card. And then what about the total numerology, the 914 for the 88 letters to match the 88 protons of Ra? Well, the 914 is the theonumerology of all 45 verses in Isaiah 45 verses 7, where God says, I form the light and create darkness. That's the sun. I make peace and create evil. 914 is the total amount of all these verses, which is exactly the total for all 88 letters in Arabic. Coincidence? No. There are no such thing as coincidences, folks. Ra. It's 45 verses 7, and 457 is the 88th prime number. 88. So what creates light and darkness? Ra does. Whatever that is. Ra. How about then the last one, the King James? Here's Revelation. The 88th letter. 19 words. 88th letter. The letter Y. That's the Yod. The most popular Bible in the world is the King James. And the 88th letter in the book of Matthew, and the very first book of the New Testament. So when people say, oh, it's different with Christianity. Oh, is that right? Well, because this right here has the Yod in Matthew. And then what's the 226th? The letter E. And E is the fifth letter, and the fifth letter in Hebrew is the Hey. So you get the Yod Hey again. The Yod Hey. That's what you get, man. So now you can see, folks, I'm not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. This is code breaking. This is why everything happens for a reason, because we live under the guise of a perfect scripted reality. So let's talk about Ra. Here's the Bible verse. Old Testament now, the Yod. I make peace and create evil. Yeah. This is your Phoenix event, which I already told you. This has 138 neutrons. Well, the word Phoenix in Greek is 88. That's what creates the Phoenix event. We all do. Every single one of us will be part of what Jason Bashir calls the Phoenix event. And COVID was a Phoenix event. It's a very disrupting code. Here it is in the original language. Shalom Ra is 88 right there. There's Ra, there's Shalom. Peace. I make peace, I create evil. 88. Duality, man. And when it comes time to clear the board, well, you'll get the clearing of the board. And it ain't going to look so pretty in some parts of the world. Okay? Even the Jesus Christ character tied to Ra, man. Jesus Christos, 226. Jesus said, I am the light of the world, 226. Yeah, well, the light of the world's tied to Ra. Okay? So, we're getting to the tail end of this. So why this element is so big and why everything happens for a reason, because it's tied to this element. All of the isotopes of radium, none of them are stable, meaning they're all radioactive. They're all radioactive. This right here, radio, means sun god. Dio means God. And you know what Ra means? The sun. Sun god. Sun god active. What do you think if you grew up in the 1970s, you played the radio a lot? The sun god. The message from the sun god. Radio, that's what it means. And this one, in particular, is huge. It's the longest lived isotope, and it has a half-life, which means in half of its life, it will dissipate, of 1,600 years. And why I have this highlighted is because, just coincidentally, of course, just by mere coincidence, the White House in Washington, D.C. has an address of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Huh, okay. And then you can see that the front of the White House has the constellation of Lib Ra there. Lib Ra. Some of you pronounce it Libra. For me, it's Lib Ra. Liberty. And this is the symbol for Lib Ra, which is what? The Alpha and Omega. They moved into this thing on November 1st, which the sun was in the sign of Lib Ra. Liberty, that's why you have liberty. liberty. And then this one, the largest collector of artificial intelligence sits in its headquarters in Mountain View, California, 1600 Amphitheater Parkway. Coincidence that this one matches this one? Huh. And there's more than just this, but this is the half-life of radium-226, element number 88. So my final answer of why everything happens for a reason. Why? Because no matter what deity you choose, no matter what God you follow, through polytheism or monotheism, no matter what its title is, from good to evil, it's a Ponzi scheme. Meaning that whatever's running this reality owns every single title and deity. Every single one of them. And it's a Ponzi scheme. And it's a Ponzi scheme by way of this. So the next time you say God, maybe you'll reflect upon what this is saying. And you'll remember of why everything happens for a reason. Okay? All right. So I will now move into some questions. Just get to my question page. Okay. Let's get into some questions and so the thing is, folks, a lot of you with your comments and all that, thanks for being here. I'm not going to force this on you. I know when I talk, I may sound commanding. I may sound like I'm a know-it-all. I know nothing, man. It ain't even me doing it. I don't even take credit for any of this. It ain't me doing it, man. I am just I'm an instrument. I already know how I'm coded. You got to look to see where your Rahu K2 axis is, the nodes of the moon. You'll have a better understanding of how you're coded and how you see the world. It may be different than mine. But if you're here, then there's something that you are drawn to, that you resonate about or with on this material. And then wherever you want to go from there, it's up to you. Because ultimately, you got to make the truth your own. It's your truth. You're the star of the show. It's your reality. It ain't mine. So whatever you end up putting out as your statements, go with that. Don't listen to what I got to tell you. If you don't think you're being used, then go with that. It's all about loving here. I don't care. I don't care if you don't agree with this message. It's not for everybody. It's actually only for a small, select amount of people. That I do know. I'm not looking for likes. I'm not looking for subscriptions. I don't care if I get negativity. I've gotten a lot of negative subscribers over the past month with the material that I've been pumping out. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. So take whatever I put out here, take it with a grain of salt. You got to go and you got to figure, I would encourage you, go be a skeptic. But if you're willing to put this to the test, go study yourself. If you've never decoded yourself, go start to decode yourself. And if you're willing to look and keep your eyes open, what you're going to see is that you're living through a predestined reality. That's what you'll end up finding, like countless other people have found. And free will is an illusion. That's what you'll end up finding. So the beauty comes from surrendering, realizing, acknowledging, knowing how you're coded, and then just kind of letting go and just keep, like I said, let go of the handlebars, but keep pedaling. Because you're not going to stop. You just keep going. Okay. Bobby, seriously. Yeah, seriously. Angela 369, did you hear about the pyramids? Yeah, they did they did some kind of technology where they went below and they said there was stuff underneath. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the first one to say this, but I had said something under there, man. If those things were to get removed, our reality would change. But I just, they're protected. I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe one day. Flipbo 007, Thomas Campbell. Yeah, I know who Thomas Campbell is. ST's asking, so Logan, I don't even like using the word believe. I'm trying to stop. I've been really working on not using it. So the question is zero free will. I'd like to think we have some, but you see the code that keeps showing up in my reality says otherwise. It keeps showing up and it says otherwise. My life it just keeps showing up, and it's becoming more and more dominant now. The more I observe, the more it becomes more dominant. I just, this is why it's like I've said how many times, how many tools do you have in your toolbox? Well, as a code breaker, I have a lot of tools. Like I have the cards, right? And when you know how this system works and you start analyzing your age through the cards and it starts to show up for you, how do you explain that? Meaning I can look at my chart and I can see cards show up. I can see people show up in my charts. And I'm not surprised anymore. When I do a reading for somebody and I give you the whole explanation of your astrological chart and your numerology, it doesn't come as a surprise. People are like, wow, they're looking for confirmations. Because it's the as above running the so below. Amy says, if we're God, is that source or Ra incarnated as man? You could look at it that way. Light, the sun becoming, light becoming. Essentially the earth is like the black sun. It doesn't give off any of its own light, so it needs the white sun. It needs you. I was just talking to this with somebody I just did a reading for today, and I had said that when you look at your Rahu, and I have a video coming out for everybody on your Rahu Ketu axis. It'll be a short one, but it'll go through every single house. And Rahu and Ketu, they represent your expansion and contraction. They represent your desires and your detachment. Ketu, the south node of the moon, is your detachment. Essentially, the aspect of Ketu, the south node of the moon, is what you incarnated as from a past life. That's the idea. And then Rahu directly across is your desire, your liberation. Ketu is breathing in, going inward, going back to where you were, taking in a breath of life. And then Rahu is, it's exhale. And when we give out the exhale, what do we give off? Carbon dioxide. And what does that do? It feeds the plants. It feeds the earth. Your exhale, which is death essentially, gives life to the terrarium around you. And that exhale is your desire. When you breathe it in, you breathe it out, and that's your Rahu. The breathing out is your Rahu, your liberation. Because it makes the world, your desires are what makes this world continue to move. Because when you breathe out your air, the carbon dioxide, it feeds the plants. And then they give off oxygen. So it becomes expansion and contraction. And through the axis of Rahu and Ketu, your Rahu is your expansion. It's your breathing out that feeds this reality and it keeps it moving. And that's why it's so essential to look at, study, and understand the concepts of this breathe in and breathe out, wax on, wax off kind of concept, to know how you're being utilized as an instrument. Jasmine is asking about, yeah, I know Michael Talbot is, The Holographic Universe. Yeah, that's a great book, for sure. Eldon King says, I watched David Wilcock today. He said humanity would all start ascending this year. I mean, maybe that's the case. Again, this is him postulating his truth. I don't really follow his stuff, but he has his truth. Is it true for everybody? Is it cookie cutter for everybody? You'll have to be the determining factor of that. ST says, Logan, it's actually dangerous to think you know all of these things. Who's to say you don't wake up tomorrow in a completely different world in reality and realize you just had a weird, crazy dream? Yeah, maybe. I live in I'm grateful. I'm a gratitude junkie. I wake up despite challenges and I'm grateful that I'm alive. I'm grateful that I get to wake up and have another day at it. So I'm in a state of gratitude, high state of gratitude. And to me, gratitude is the ultimate. That's deep. Do you think that bloodline and family could share similar code? I mean, anything's possible, right? You're asking the question, so it's possible. I'm telling you, folks, gratitude is where it's at, man. Gratitude. For me, anyway, it's gratitude and detachment. Gratitude and detachment. Every time that you take on something in your life, every time you say yes to something, which is, the great movie Yes Man, right? Terrence Stamp and Jim Carrey. He was saying no, 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 no. And he was miserable. That's what they portrayed. And then he started saying yes, 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 yes. And then his life became very colorful. Yeah, of course, because now you have all these opportunities. And the more opportunities you have to shake hands and hugs and meet people, you're going to have more opportunities come your way. And it livens you up. You start to live. So that's what the whole concept was. But as you add on attachment after attachment after attachment, and your schedule gets busier and busier and busier, it also opens up pathways and doorways for more things to happen to you. More chances of this happening and more chances of that happening. That's the whole yes concept. The Yeshua man is what it should have been. Someone says, love is an illusion. There's only lust. So, some people just can't wrap their minds around love being the trap, man. And people think I'm being negative about it, and I'm not. If you got a destination, if your screenplay calls for, chasing oxytocin and dopamine, and you're going to defend that. If you're in a relationship right now and you just started off in a relationship, you will defend that newly found relationship. You'll justify it completely. Everybody here, you're going to justify your truth of what's happening for you. I mean, what do you think I'm doing? I have justifications for everything that I talk about here. I back it up with code and all that stuff, but there's still justifications. That's what every single one of us do. We justify our entire reality. We will back it up based upon what makes us feel a certain way. Without exception, you will do that. So if you're here and you've awoken to this, if you've accepted this, if you've at least considered that we live in a predestined scripted reality and you don't want to play anymore, and you're kind of tired of it, and you think maybe there's something beyond this physical, I'm with you. I think life's beautiful. I think it's amazing. I'm grateful for it. But is there something beyond this? The suffering is what I'm not a fan of. If you're somebody who's young and you don't have many suffering in your life, like if everything works great and you have no aches and pains, and you don't have to worry about that. But as you get older and you start to suffer more and you start to feel and the body breaks down and you wake up and there's this and there's that going on, what's the point of that? I know it's a lesson in everything, right? But if you knew you'd have to come back and do that again and go through that whole format, would you check that off the box if you even had the opportunity to do that? That would be the big question. So now that you've awoken to everything happens for a reason, and I showed you to support what it means and why everything happens for a reason, now the question is, what are you going to do about it? What do you want to do about it? It's not even a matter of what you're going to, what do you want to do? What is your desire? And it will be different for everybody on what it is that you desire. Okay. So I think we're going to kind of leave this here. I don't want to go too long with this one. I personally, folks, I don't think people use, when I say critical thinking, because some people don't think I'm using critical thinking, but when I say critical thinking, what I'm saying is when you were growing up as a kid, were you thinking? Probably, the answer probably, 99.999% of you, no, you weren't. Meaning, like, when you're 15, are you really thinking? No, you're going through puberty. And now you're probably trying to chase and get some because you're like experiencing a boy or a girl. And then it's time to get your driver's license. Were you ever thinking? No, it's just you were programmed to go and follow the leader. And then you get your driver's license. Now you want to get a car because now you want to impress the guy or girl that you want to start dating. And then you look forward to 21 because then you can go out and drink. Where's there ever critical thinking? And then people just automatically, well, now I got to get a job and now I want to have a family because that's what mom and dad did. They had me. So I'm already programmed as a human being because my parents made me. So I'm already thinking, well, they made me, so I want to make somebody else. So now I want to have a kid. And we don't give it any thought. We're just like, well, I'm here because of my parents. I'm going to monkey see, monkey do. I'm going to do the same thing. Right? Where's the critical thinking? There isn't any when we're younger. So we just monkey see, monkey do. We follow the leader, and that's how we all got here. And then when you end up falling in love or you end up meeting somebody, it's great, right? Yeah. The feeling of love with oxytocin and dopamine and all that stuff, some of the greatest feelings. But then you start to have feelings for this person. And now, now guess what? Now you become a slave to that person. All of you that you love somebody, you're a slave to that person. Everything happens for a reason though, so it was supposed to happen for you. Don't get mad at me for I'm saying that. I'm just telling you, that's a fact. When you fall in love with somebody and you start to love them, you become a slave to them because when they suffer, you suffer. So now you're trapped. Love is the trap. You're trapped because they suffer and you suffer. Your children, you're a slave to your kids. You got to take care of them. That's a slave aspect, folks. That's just the way it is. So if you don't have kids and you don't want children, it wasn't in the screenplay to have them. If you do have them, it was in the screenplay to have them. I think having a child is the toughest thing to do besides being in a relationship because you become a slave to it. And if you don't have kids, you become a slave to what? Something like a job or a career. Like decode your reality. Like, am I a slave to decoding and code breaking? You could say that, yeah. I get off on it. I like it. But here's the thing. I'm not married to it. I don't have feelings to it like a person has feelings. So there's a difference between I could just cut it off and walk away and not experience heartbreak like you would, or watching somebody die. That's different. That's a suffering that's completely different. Jasmina says, when you're old enough and consciously bring another beautiful human being into this world, you do all of that on unconditional love. I totally get that. It is unconditional, but you become a slave to that person that you bring into this world. Without question. You become a slave to that person. You could try to dance around it and say the origin of it is, I wanted to bring in because I wanted to have kids. That's great. But you're going to become a slave to the kid. Because when the child suffers, you suffer. If your child dies before you, you're going to carry your own guilt. That's just the way it is. It has nothing to do with unconditional love. So that's why I had said, and I keep saying, love is the trap. So if you don't want to be trapped, don't get into emotional relationships. If you can walk away from something and not be emotionally attached to it, then you're not trapped. When you have a kid, you're trapped. When you have a husband or wife, you're trapped. That's just what love does. Jasmina says, unconditional love is not slavery. Well, what would you call your attachment to I would imagine you have kids. When your child suffers, do you suffer? Is that a yes or no for you? I would imagine the answer is yes. That means you're a slave to your kid. You are bound to their suffering. That makes you a slave. I don't really know how else you'd want to put it. If you when somebody you are in love with passes on and dies, you will suffer because of it. That's not unconditional love. That's slavery. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it is. That's the way it is. Anyways, all right. I don't want to get into this deep conversation about that. I think it's pretty simple. I think it's really simple. Okay. Jasmina, I'll take one last question. You're telling me you don't know what unconditional love. None of you here are unconditional love, by the way. You have conditions. That's why you parent your child. You can't do that. That's conditional. The only thing that's unconditional is earth. Earth is unconditional love because it doesn't require you to do a certain thing a certain way. You require your children to do a certain thing a certain way. That's conditional. Your conditions. That's not unconditional. That is conditional. Especially if you're in a relationship. I don't like the way you're doing that. Conditional. You get mad or you get angry for your partner doing a certain thing a certain way. Conditional. That is not unconditional. Farthest from it. There's nothing unconditional about the human being experience. We are all conditional. We give conditions of how we want certain things a certain way. Otherwise, if you want to be unconditional, let your kid do whatever they want. That's unconditional love. Do whatever you want. Is that unconditional? Yep. It's conditional when you say, oh, I don't want you, you can't do it this way, you got to do it that way. Oh, yeah, I said you got to do this, you got to do that. Conditional, conditional, conditional. Laws and order, conditional. All right. So let's pull a couple cards and call this. We'll wrap this up. Okay. So let's see what the message is, and then we're gonna get out of here. So I'm gonna pull 3 cards. First card. Everything happens for a reason. I wonder what this is gonna be, but let's pull a card. What is that? 34th card in the deck. Knight of Wands. It's tied to the moon because it's card 34 and the element selenium is the 34th element. See if we can't get a message. The Knight of Wands, the Jack of Clubs, card 24. Remember time? Second card, everything happens for a reason. Two of Pentacles, card 66. Duality. That's duality right there. That's the infinity symbol right there. So we have a Jack, we have a Knight, and we have a 2. 2 of Pentacles, card 28, card 24, card 65, or 66. And the last one, the last card, everything happens for a reason. Ra, baby. This is card number 7. Ra is 7. 7 is the letter L. 7, if you flip it upside down, it becomes the letter L, as in light. This is the card of Ra, the Chariot. This card sits in the house of Lib Ra, because this is card 7, and the astrological sign of Libra is the 7th house. The Chariot is a Lib, Alpha and Omega. Ra, Lib Ra. Card number 7. Let's add these up. Card 34. Card 66. Card 7. 107. 107 is the 28th prime number. 28 is tied to the word architect. Let's pull one card from the Astro deck. We're to call it a night. So this, we're going to be pulling from this deck. Astro deck. We just shuffle these. Okay. Everything happens for a reason. Astrology time. Who rules the North Node? What is the North Node? Rahu. Why does everything happen for a reason? Because it's the future. Ra is the North Node. So we have Ra here, and we have Rahu here. And the north node is your desires. If I can look at anybody's chart now, anybody, and I can tell exactly what your desires are just by looking at your Rahu position. It's just that easy. That's the simplicity of astrology. So if you want a head start on how you're coded, if you want to know how your child is coded, what do they desire? What's their north node of the moon? What's their Rahu? Everything happens for a reason. 59. We had the total for the cards here, 59. 59 is tied to the game of life is 59. So that's what these cards mean. Just from the numbers. Why does everything happen for a reason? Because you're in the game of Ra, the sun. You're in the game of the moon. You're in the game of the future. You're in the game of the desires that you have. It's just that simple, folks. So now you know, now you see the code. Now you have the eyes to see. And now go be grateful. Go live out your code. Go squeeze every drop you can out of life. That's what you're being used for anyway. It's to squeeze every drop out. Okay? All right, everybody. I appreciate you being here. Again, listen. You don't have to agree with what I say. A lot of you don't. Great. We can just agree to disagree. I don't have to live in your shoes. You don't have to live in mine. So, listen. If you have a certain screenplay in your life, you're going to live through that screenplay. You will protect it. You will defend it, bar none. That's just how you're coded. Just go do that then. That's the most important thing for you. Go do that. What I got, I'm going to go do what I got. And that's the beautiful, because we're all the divine having this experience. And that's just the way it is. It's really that simple. It's the most beautiful thing, is that we're all the divine. And what you got for your screenplay is what you have to experience in your screenplay. So if it calls for a little bit of this and a little bit of that, then go do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Okay. All right, so without further ado, let me play an ending song here. I'll let all of you talk amongst yourselves. What do I want to play here? I know what I'll do. We'll play the Age of Aquarius, since that's what we're in. We'll do a little Villagers of Ione City. This song's great. It's called The Age of Aquarius, where you get to make the truth your own. You get to call the shots. So go do that, right? Go live out your life. Go squeeze every drop you can out of your life. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Don't even worry about what I'm saying here. Scripted reality, predestination, everything happens for a reason. Who gives a shit? Forget about everything I said and just go wake up tomorrow and do whatever it is that you're going to do, because you're going to do it anyway. That's the beautiful part. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Big shout out to Pam, the moderator. I appreciate it. All the support and the feedback and all that kind of stuff. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you later.